Hey there, this video is to talk about some on-page SEO design considerations to try and help when building a page for you to understand what should happen, what shouldn't happen, what elements are critical, what you shouldn't be doing on a page. Again, this video is not to talk about all of the overarching SEO world and all of the factors that play into SEO. This is just simply drilling down to we are building a page. What should we do on that page? What should we not do on that page? So let's jump right into it. Okay, first off, we've got a main message. Here we've got this 4 to 6 word message up at the top of the page. And what the first and foremost thing that you should consider is when building a page, what is the purpose of that page? So if you're going to build a pricing page, put the pricing on that page and be on topic, be consistent, and be focused and be clear in your communication. If it's the portfolio page, stay focused on putting the portfolio on that page. It's okay to have some call to action and related information that helps move a person down that sales funnel or that sales process, but stay focused and on topic for what that page's purpose is. So again, step 1, always understand the purpose of the page that you're building. Now, we've got this main message that you can see right up here, and it's a 4 to 6 word message. That message should be the primary focus of that page. So whatever you put there should be the most important information that you're trying to convey to the end user when the page is being built. Now, when you're building this out, typically this should be using an H1 tag. H1 is the number 1 header for the page. So you should typically use an H1 tag there, and the H1 tag should only get used once on a page as a general best practice. So the H1 tag is used there, and that is your primary focus. So that font should also be the largest on the page as a general rule, and the most obvious and towards the top of the page, because that is the focal point of the page, and the user should understand the focal point of the page as soon as they get there. Now, there are other H tags. There's H1, H2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So as you're building the page out, it makes sense to use H2 tags down below. So for example, these 2 to 3 word benefits that you're seeing here, maybe those are your H2 tags, and it's okay to use 3 of them or 4 on a page or however many make sense for your secondary headlines. But you should most often only have one central theme using an H1. So that's your H tags and building the page. Your non-H tag text, something like this, if this is the H1, this could also be an H2 in some circumstances, depending on how big of a focus you want to put on that information that you're conveying. So the search engines are going to use those H tags to help point themselves in the direction of what the content is on the page, but they also use the size of the font, the placement the size of the text rather, not font, the size of the text, and the placement on the page of that text to get a better grasp of how important that text is. So that's your content portion. Let's move on and talk about images for a second. You'll see that the image in the background is a person typing on a laptop. So you'll want your images to relate to the content of the page. Search engines can scan an image and understand what that image is. So if your page is talking about spaghetti, and yet there are no images of spaghetti on the page, there's going to be a disconnect if all of your images are mountain bikes. And that is not going to make for a good user experience, which will make for a poor ranking in the search engine. So make sure the images relate to the content. Then, if you want to give yourself a little bonus, and again, it's a very little bonus, make sure that the image name of the image file is something that relates to what the image is about. Don't stuff it with keywords. This isn't the 1990s. Make it a good description of what the image is about. Also, it's best practice to use the image alt tag to describe what that image is also. If the page doesn't load that image for some reason, or if someone's using a screen reader, it's really nice if they could understand from the image alt tag what it was that that image was all about. So make sure that you're taking those into consideration and filling out the image alt tag with a nice description. Again, do not keyword stuff. Make it a nice description of what that image is. That's going to help you to provide a good user experience, which helps you to rank. So that's a couple things with images. The last, but perhaps the most important, is make sure the images are not larger files than they have to be. Use modern image file formats. 2, make sure the image is not a larger image than it needs to be. So for example, this image here, if we scroll down, is maybe 100 pixels would be all the more that that picture would have to be. So if when that image was built, whoever built it was building a 5,000 wide pixel image, and you upload it as a 5,000 wide pixel image, but you know that don't worry about it because when it displays it's only 100 pixels, that's really bad for the end user because it forces them to load an image much larger than needs to be loaded, which slows the page down, which gives them a bad user experience, which makes you not rank as well. So if you're getting a consistent theme here, we're building for user experience. So make sure your images are resized to appropriate sizes. Now, a few miscellaneous considerations. Make sure when you're building the page that the links are not too close together. So you can see here, there's plenty of room between these two click here's so that no one would ever accidentally click the wrong link. This is especially important on a small device like a cell phone. The next consideration is making sure the page is visually appealing and readable. Make sure that people can land on the page and easily read the text, and that it lays out really nice so that it helps them have a good experience. Make sure as the page loads, the content doesn't shift around. This is especially problematic when people are putting ads on a page, or if you're loading information via JavaScript after the page loads, sometimes that'll shift the page around. So try your best to make sure the page doesn't shift any more than it needs to, or the content on the page doesn't shift more than it needs to as the page loads. One of the most important things you can keep in mind is making sure that the page loads fast for a user. So I can't emphasize that too much. Make sure the page loads fast. Make sure it loads fast on a phone, on a tablet, on a full display monitor. Make sure it loads fast. All right, moving on beyond that. We want to make sure the page is protected with an SSL certificate. The search engines have said that's important for users' experience to be able to trust you. And so make sure that all of the content, the images on the page especially, are loaded via HTTPS:, not HTTP:. And then last but certainly not least, we're going to jump over into a little bit of the code here for a second. Okay, so we've jumped into the code side of the website, and we're not going to hang out here very long, so don't worry too much. I want to point out this title tag that goes in the head. The title tag is critical in helping the search engines present a good summary on the search engine result page of what your page is about. So make sure that your title is clear, concise, and on topic with the content of the page. So these are a few, again, just a few fundamental principles that you need to keep in mind when building out pages so that you're building a good user experience, and which will in turn cause the search engines to like your page above your competitors and hopefully rank you above them and help you get a better result with the search engines. Hopefully this has been helpful. We'd love it if you'd subscribe. If you have questions, make sure to write those in the comments below and check out our other videos as well. We talk about everything from web design to WordPress to WooCommerce, digital marketing, and search engine optimization, to name a few.